Okay, we're going to go over the scale and proportion. You can, at the beginning of this module, you can see this here. I'll just get this started. So we're going to go through basically what scale and proportion is it's a design feature that you can use to draw attention to something. And in here, most of what this covers is things like this, where it talks about things like this, where this Campbell soup can is just so much larger than the house down below. So, and like the ball here in the room that you can see is just takes up the whole thing. So here's some more where we show scale and proportion. And then these things are just meant to draw your attention to something that is just so out of the ordinary because it's so big as compared to people. And they don't have people here, but we can tell just by the trees in the city in the background that this is these are extremely large. And here's ones where you can see people, but here's something just really big. So more stuff, or the extremely small. Here's this 3-inch carving that someone did. It's really small. And then there's some super large stuff where there's these things that are only meant to be seen from space or in the air. So, and these are the comparisons that we make. Is it bigger than me? Is it smaller than me? To the same size. And then here's some different variations, different visual effects. So we'll speed through this. Slinka Chu, it's fun to look at what he's got. These little people. He's got an Instagram, at least an Instagram account, TikTok, something like that. You can go check out more of this stuff. It's kind of fun to see what's happening with these things. So, and then here's something that's just the fly is really large. And then just draw something that's unexpected. Here where the saints and the apostles are just made bigger than the regular people. And here, obviously the biggest guy is Pharaoh, and then there's the smaller people around him. So here's some more things that they just challenge what we expect in size, proportion, and just objects in general. Salvador Dali with his crazy art. It's fun to look at his. So this is the one thing that I wanted to talk about most is this notions of the ideal human standard. And then there's this, the Greeks were looking for this ratio and they came up so here's ones where we're looking at proportion. There's Leonardo da Vinci there with his men, the circle. And then there's this golden rectangle, the golden ratio that they call it. And you can see over here in figure B. And so this, you need to, everyone that's an artist should understand this concept, and right where that spiral kind of fits in. So that becomes the most critical. And there's actually 4 spots, just not that one. You can flip this golden section around, but those spots are the most on a rectangle. Those are these in this area right there are where you want to draw your attention. And so this is the same thing with the rule of thirds. If you're shooting photography, it comes out of this. And so it's interesting that this golden rectangle or this golden ratio shows up, shows how to draw this here. And this is also what they call the Fibonacci sequence. So you see these patterns happen a lot in nature: 1s, 2s, 3s, 5s, 8s. We get to see that with leaves on trees and different things. If you're looking, that's why a 4-leaf clover is supposed to be lucky, because it's not as prevalent as these 1, 2, 3s and 5s that you will see in clover. So here's this golden section. So 1 and then 2, and then if you make 3, 5, so 1 inch square, 2 inch square, 3 inch square, 5 inches square, or any unit of measure, 8 inches square, 13 inches square, 21, 34, and it continues to get larger. But just so you understand this, this is fun to play around with, but just understand this golden section. So the proportions, like we were saying, in human, in nature, the human body, 1, 2, 3, 5, thirds, fifths, same thing in music. It's interesting how often these things appear. Once again, here's the golden section in this. And then we're looking at also, so this is where we're putting our attention, is in these. This is where we come up and go through the painting. Do the same type of a thing here. We're just drawing around. So that's the end of this. Just wanted to talk about the golden section. That's kind of fun. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the assignment that is. So I'm going to make this larger. We got to get a hold of it there. Let's make this larger so it fills up most of the screen. Then I can change depending on how we want to do this. Whoa. So it's good to see the preliminary work that everyone has done here. We'll talk about these. This is where, so you can look at this, the Jack and Jill. Hopefully we get some more explanation using the different objects out of there. You can either draw these, or you can bring them into something like Illustrator or Photoshop. Do these types of things to look at some of your different options with the Jack and Jill. So the ones that are come up just as the JPEG, let's see. Oh, it just drops it in here. I'll just use the. So here we go with this, kind of like this, because I can rotate this. So here we've got some of the sketches for Mikkel. This is good sequence and planning. So creative designs here, kind of what we're trying to do. So it's good to see the different see the different ideas here. So you can go through this creative. I'll get this to go small. Okay, here we go. So good planning, just checking things out. Damming, this is good too, with the different trials that you're doing here with your Scott. This is good also. Good to see the movement throughout this. Okay, let's see. Oh, it's still, let's hoping it would be bigger. So here's when I'm gonna take a shot at this, because it doesn't look like there's been a ton of work on the drawing side. We'd like to see more examples of this, but it's, I know things are going on in your lives, and so we're all entitled to that once in a while. So with Anthony was in this class last semester, and so I'm seeing some of this same thing. So he's bringing up some of the work that he did last semester, which is fine. So it's good to see the thought process that everyone is going through as they're trying to do this, and hopefully as we look at each other's, it will also give us more inspiration and help us out with our planning. But these are all like the direction and the movement that we're seeing with these different shapes. Here again, these are, now, one of the things we should have talked about in the beginning was you need to click on this to go over and see what the requirements are for this major project. So this is what the final work should look like. And then you should be using these icons, or these graphics in your assignment. So if you're not using those graphics, you need to be using those graphics. So as you look through this, you can see people are using the graphics here. So, and maybe this is just your design, just your planning document, which is fine, but you need to be using those graphics off of that sheet. So yeah, so make sure you're using the graphics from that sheet. You can use Illustrator and Photoshop if you want to import those and do some things with it. Last week I have, you can look at the Zoom call from last week, and we have some instructions, and I have one more bit of instructions. Aoife, I don't see anything from you there. Oh, here it is. You've got it down here. So this is good. Creative work you've done here. I'm assuming you've used Illustrator or Photoshop to do that, which looks good. So once again, good at looking at the graphics here. So the one last thing I want to show for today is if you go to just the regular Salt Lake Community College page, there is current students. Click on the current students, and then there is a link to the library. I think I showed this a little bit, but there's an ebooks collection here. If you're on campus, I don't think you need to do this logging in. If you're off campus like I am right now, then you can log in here. So in this O'Reilly books, and maybe I should just make it larger. So you can see, but you can look, you can come up here to and do Adobe Illustrator Classroom in a book. And it looks like the most recent version is this 2020 version, even though we are in basically the 2022 version. Most of this, I'd say 99% of this is going to be the same. So right here, it says continue. It's, you can do this. It's got all these chapters that you can go through. Opening Illustrator file, exploring the workspace. I'm going to click on, this is the one I'm on. So it will show you, it will give you some quick tutorials and overview also on different aspects of Adobe Illustrator. So it goes over the direct selection tool, the selection tool, how to switch between those. Got some tips on that other video. So, but then if you're thinking, oh, you know, I already know all of this stuff, we can talk about selecting objects, working with groups, aligning objects. It's got, you can go through these different, and if you want to, you can just keep, you can hit this, you can read through these pages. What I suggest, and my monitor is really big because you can watch this in 4K, but what I like to do, so I am going to show you, this is what it looks like on my desktop. So normally what I would be doing is if I'm working with Illustrator and I'm working with one of these tutorials, what I will do is I will pull that up on one side, and then I will pull up my Illustrator. This may take too long. But if you have two monitors, one of the things I suggest if you're reading is you can actually turn your monitor sideways. And I'm not sure how this works on a Mac, but on a PC, you can go under display settings, and then you can, so here we have landscape or portrait. And so I'm going to choose, this is my laptop monitor. And so I'm going to change it to portrait mode. And so when I change that to portrait mode, you will see this is the way it looks. So if you have a second monitor, you can change it to portrait mode, and then it will look more like this, where you've got a lot more reading space than you would if you leave it, than if you just leave it landscape. I'm gonna turn it back to landscape because it looks weird for what I'm doing, but you can't do that. When I was in college 15 years ago, that's what I would do with my second monitor is I tilted it on its side. Even if I didn't have a stand, I would get some clay or some Play-Doh or whatever, and I would use that to help hold up the monitor. So So here's some of the projects I'm working on. Let's just open this up. So here we've got, so I'm just going to make Illustrator fit on one side of my screen. So I've got Illustrator on the one side of my screen. Here, I'll use the zoom tool, make that a little bit bigger. And then I could go through this tutorial on the left-hand side, and then when it would be bigger, and then this could be like my secondary monitor or my laptop monitor, so I could be looking at that there and reading this over on the left-hand side. So that's just another place where you can get information to help you with Illustrator. So that's it for the week. Thanks for stopping by.